I need one room.
Look, if you're pissed at me, maybe we should get separate rooms.
You get your own room.
I need a major credit card.
All right. I have diners, Visa, and a gasoline card.
Everyone has the day off work, there's a big bird on the table, and relatives that you haven't seen in a while are sitting around watching parades and football. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone! Now, obviously, Thanksgiving doesn't have quite the rich cinematic tradition that certain other holidays have enjoyed, but we've still watched the fourth Thursday in November unfold on the big screen enough times to inspire us to look back at some of the most noteworthy, not so thankful Thanksgivings in movie history.
Eat us! Hey, it's Thanksgiving Day! Eat us! We make a nice buffet!
We've gathered together an eclectic group for our list, including old favorites, indie upstarts, and even a critical duo or two. So tuck in your napkins, wait for Sis to say grace, and let's all dig in as we count down the most disastrous movie Thanksgivings. Starting with number 10, The Doors. The surviving members of The Doors disputed a lot of the material that ended up in Oliver Stone's wildly over-the-top Jim Morrison biopic. This includes the infamous scene that depicts the late Doors frontman locking girlfriend Pamela Courson in a closet and setting it on fire. And the Thanksgiving dinner sequence in which Patricia Keneally, the woman who may or may not have been his wife, ends up throwing the turkey at Morrison. Starring Val Kilmer, Meg Ryan, Kevin Dillon, and directed by Oliver Stone. Critics say Val Kilmer delivers a powerhouse performance as one of rock's most incendiary figures, but unfortunately, Oliver Stone is unable to shed much light on the circus surrounding the star.
And to celebrate...
Patricia?
Hi, Jim.
Hey. Pam, she wrote this great review of my poetry book.
Jim, why don't we go eat that turkey, huh?
Come on, Pam, let's go set those plates.
Patricia Keneally, are you Patricia Keneally?
You must be Pamela.
You actually put your in this woman, Jim?
Well, sometimes, yeah.
Well, I understand, I really do. But just don't you ever expect that Jim's gonna love you or take care of you because you're one of 100, you know?
Hey, come on, you don't know when to stop.
Look who's talking.
Well, I like to think that Jim can make up his own mind about who he loves and who he doesn't.
Well, don't kid yourself, sweetheart. He's crazy, but he's not that crazy. He loves me.
Come on, Pam, let's go check on those sweet potatoes.
Love it.
Number 9, The House of Yes. This is another unbearably awkward Thanksgiving. So the House of Yes finds Tori Spelling's character joining her fiance's family for the meal. She meets them for the first time, only to discover that his relationship with his mentally unstable twin sister is much more complex than she'd been led to believe. Matter of fact, pretty much everyone in the family has something lurking under the surface, and much of it will become known to poor Tori before the weekend is over. And did we mention that there's a hurricane going on during all of this? Don't feel too bad for Miss Spelling though, because for one of the only times in her career, she actually earned some of the movie's highest marks. Starring Tori Spelling, Parker Posey, Josh Hamilton, and directed by Mark Waters. Richard Corliss from Time magazine says, Bejeweled has the frazzled hauteur of an aging neglected star, and Spelling is nicely glazed, studiously artless, but the film is keyed to Posey's performance, perfectly brittle, faultlessly false.
I know what else you did. I know where the scar came from, and I know why they sent you to that hospital.
You're a regular Nancy Drew.
You're making him crazy. You want to make him crazy like you? Look at yourself. Look at your clothes. You're making fun of a woman who lost her husband. A man died, a man who was murdered, a man who did something for other people. What have you ever done for somebody else? You really love Marty? Think about what his life will be like here in this house. Your mom will die. You'll be left alone. You'll have babies with webbed feet you have to bury out back in the yard. Hi.
Where in the yard?
Where?
Where exactly in the yard? Marty?
Where do you think we should bury these babies with webbed feet? The backyard's getting rather crowded with corpses, first daddies and now duck babies.
You killed your father?
Not me, Mama.
My father left my mother years ago, the day Kennedy was shot.
He tried to leave, but Mama shot him. We buried him by the central air.
They were installing central air. There was a hole in the ground, but not for him, for the air conditioner. She's confused. You're confused, Jackie. He left Mama. He called a cab.
She covered him with her body. She tried to keep him there.
Jackie Kennedy, not Mama. Jackie Kennedy.
She tried to keep his head on, but it was falling off.
Leslie, go get my suitcase.
Leslie? Sorry about all this.
Number 8, Home for the Holidays. Unlike some of the films on this list, Home for the Holidays doesn't rely on Thanksgiving as a backdrop or a plot device. It's actually the whole reason for the movie. In Jodie Foster's second directorial outing, Holly Hunter plays a beleaguered single mom whose life is falling apart just in time for a holiday feast with her highly dysfunctional family. Despite a solid cast, not to mention a November release date, and generally favorable reviews, Holidays failed to gain much traction at the box office. Starring Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr., Anne Bancroft, and directed by Jodie Foster. Critics say, much like a real-life visit home for the holidays, this Thanksgiving set dramedy can get a little bumpy, but it also has its share of fondly memorable moments.
Bird, I'm trying to get an angle. So would you spot weld this, Mom?
Mommy! Sit down. Baking soda. Baking soda. Baking soda.
Oh, down. Look, will this come off? Down. It's okay. Oh, it's wrong. Look at my tie. It's okay. It's okay. Joanne, look at this. Look at your father's tie. It's useless. I know how you feel.
You don't know how I feel, and in my opinion, you don't even care.
Well, opinions are like honey. Everybody's got one, and everybody thinks everybody else's stinks.
Henry, for Christ's sake.
This has been a complete holiday nightmare. I have to go.
Number 7, Alice's Restaurant. Only in the 60s could an 18-minute talking blues song by a 19-year-old white kid from New England become such a big hit that it inspired a movie helmed by an A-list director like Arthur Penn. But that's exactly what happened with Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant. In a rambling tale of a pair of Massachusetts hippies who found themselves dragged to court for illegally dumping garbage on Thanksgiving Day, only to watch the arresting officer break down in tears of frustration when he discovers that the presiding judge is blind and can't see the glossy color photos meticulously taken of the scene of the crime. As a movie, Alice's Restaurant is arguably most interesting as a 60s relic, or an early example of meta filmmaking, with the real-life Alice making a cameo, and Officer William Obenheim stars as himself. Starring Arlo Guthrie, Patricia Quinn, James Broderick, and directed by Arthur Penn. Jacob Brackman from Esquire magazine says, "At one end, I suppose, to judge Alice is a brilliantly inventive auteur vision, personal, topical, hilarious, deeply pessimistic. At the other, to judge Alice is a dog, a messy porridge. In the middle, reservations and 14-point checklist ratings."
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, it's wonderful. Isn't it great? I made the turkey. She made the platter.
I wonder who made her.
No one I know about. You wouldn't have had to try.
Hey, Ray, how about Grace?
Yeah,
Grace be to Alice for coming home to cook this feast. Grace be to us for being here to dig it. Because we're beautiful. And we're doing it. We got what we need. What more do we want? Pastures aplenty. Come on, dig in here.
Welcome back to Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Here is our list so far of the most disastrous movie Thanksgivings. Number 6, Addams Family Values. For many, the Addams Family movies trigger memories of MC Hammer more than anything else. But 1993's Addams Family Values actually received better reviews than its predecessor. The movie is also noteworthy for containing one of the most hysterical Thanksgiving pageants in movie history. It begins with turkeys singing "Eat Me" and culminates with Christina Ricci's Wednesday Addams playing Pocahontas, departing from the script written by unctuous summer camp director Gary Granger to air a list of grievances against the Pilgrims before directing her tribe to burn their village to the ground. Now, it might read like a tryptophan-induced dream of Howard Zinn's, but it's actually very funny. Starring Angelica Houston, Raul Julia, Christina Ricci, and directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Critics say new, well-developed characters add dimension to this batty satire, creating a comedy much more substantial than the original.
The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the Pilgrims. Especially Sarah Miller. Gary, she's changing the words. And for all these reasons, I've decided to scalp you and burn your village to the ground.
Children, can't stop it! You're destroying my text!
He's not a team player.
Well, he's a special child, but he needs friends.
He needs friends like this.
I beg your pardon.
Number 5, Pieces of April. 2003's Pieces of April is about a woman who invites her estranged family to her apartment to meet her boyfriend over Thanksgiving dinner. The film did okay at the box office, but critics applauded the film, sending screenwriter Peter Hedges' directorial debut all the way up to 84% on the Tomatometer. Somewhat stereotypically for an indie production, nothing much really happens in Pieces of April. But given that Holmes spends much of the film struggling to get dinner made, it could be said that this is one of the few movies on this list that accurately captures the culinary drama behind the holiday. Starring Katie Holmes, Patricia Clarkson, Oliver Platt, and directed by Peter Hedges. Critics say Pieces of April transcends its small-scale setting and budget with endearing performances, playful humor, and genuine sweetness, resulting in a touching holiday treat.
I was knocking on a lot of doors looking for you. Yours was ajar.
Come in. How's it going?
No foreseeable problems. I was about to check your turkey myself. Then I thought, since it's yours, maybe you'd prefer to do the checking.
Okay.
I certainly could do it for you, and will, if you'd like. Didn't want to presume.
It's fine, whatever.
It's a common misconception that you can just stick a turkey in the oven. Turkey needs to be tended to. He needs to be cared for lovingly. One must pay close attention to poultry.
Sure.
So much can go wrong. Turkey could burn in places, be overcooked, undercooked, which is a health hazard. And what about basting?
Look, Wayne, I'll be up in a second, okay?
A second, sir?
Just give me a minute.
Tick-tock.
Number 4, The Ice Storm. what do Ang Lee and Christina Ricci have against Thanksgiving anyway? In her second appearance on this list, Ricci plays Wendy Hood, one in the series of cynical, borderline misanthropic teens that she portrayed in the 90s, and in a slight, albeit far less humorous echo of her turn as Wednesday Addams in Addams Family Values. But she uses Thanksgiving as an opportunity to lift the veil on the holiday's darker side, delivering a soliloquy about the inherent cruelty of the celebration. Painful to watch, indubitably, and appropriately for a film that hinges on crushing ennui and alienation. Lee, who also directed Brokeback Mountain, received high marks for adapting Rick Moody's tense, sad novel about suburban families in the 70s. Starring Kevin Kline, Joan Allen, Christina Ricci, and directed by Ang Lee. Critics say director Ang Lee revisits the ennui-laden decadence of 1970s suburban America with deft humor and gripping pathos.
Well, it's great that we can all be together. And this Thanksgiving, no yelling, no hysteria, especially with your grandpa not here, although we miss him. So let's do it right. And Wendy, why don't you say grace? You used to love to say grace, remember?
Dear Lord, thank you for this Thanksgiving holiday, and for all the material possessions that we have and enjoy, and for letting us white people kill all the Indians and steal their tribal lands and stuff ourselves like pigs, even though children in Asia are being napalmed.
Okay. Jesus, enough, all right. Paul, roll.
Thank you.
Can I have the gravy?
Number 3, Brokeback Mountain. Thanksgiving, like any family holiday, can be something of a double-edged blade. It has the potential to both bring loved ones together, but in doing so, it also has the ability to exacerbate tensions. And given that the protagonists in Ang Lee's Brokeback Mountain spend their adult lives struggling with their barely expressed love for one another, you might expect that turkey and mashed potatoes would serve as a garnish for some remarkably tense moments. You'd be right too, because both Ennis and Jack suffer through some bleak Thanksgivings, none more awkward than the one which acts as a prelude to Ennis's wife Alma confronting him about his secret affair. Awkward. Starring Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Williams, and directed by Ang Lee. Critics say a beautiful, epic Western, Brokeback Mountain's love story is imbued with heartbreaking universality thanks to moving performances by Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Bobby, if you don't eat your dinner, I'm going to have to turn off that television.
Why, Mama? I'm going to be eating this food for the next 2 weeks.
Hey, you heard your mama. You finish your meal, and then you can watch the game.
Daddy? Daddy?
Hell, we don't eat with our eyes. I want your boy to grow up to be a man, don't you, daughter? Boy, she watched football.
Not till he finishes eating the meal that his mama took 3 hours fixing. You sit down, you old son of a b****. This is my house, this is my child, and you are my guest. And you sit down before I knock your ignorant in the next week.
Welcome back to Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Here is our list so far of the most disastrous movie Thanksgivings. Number 2, Hannah and Her Sisters. Thanksgiving. What would it be without turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and lustfully eyeing your wife's sister? Actually, most of us wouldn't know about that last item on the list, but for Michael Caine and Woody Allen's Hannah and her sisters, it's a different story. The film opens with Caine's Elliot conducting some Allen-esque hand-wringing over his secret crush on his sister-in-law Lee, who he takes every opportunity to bump into around town. And it all makes for a rather uncomfortable holiday for Elliot. Starring Mia Farrow, Michael Caine, and Woody Allen, who also directed the film. Critics say smart, tender, and funny in equal measure, Hannah and Her Sisters is one of Woody Allen's finest films.
God, she's beautiful. She's got the prettiest eyes. And she looks so sexy in that sweater. I just want to be alone with her and hold her and kiss her and tell her how much I love her and take care of her. Stop it, you idiot. She's your wife's sister. I can't help it. I'm consumed by her. It's been months now. I dream about her. I think about her at the office. Oh, Lee, what am I going to do? I hear myself mooning over you, and it's disgusting. Before, when she squeezed past me in the doorway, and I smelled that perfume on the back of her neck, Jesus, I thought I was going to swoon. Easy. You're a dignified financial advisor. It doesn't look good for you to swoon.
Elliot, sweetheart. Have you tried these? These are wonderful. Holly and her friend made them.
That's fantastic.
Great.
Your sister is an unbelievable cook.
I know. She has all the cooking talent.
And finally, number 1, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Perhaps the quintessential Thanksgiving film, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles represents a critical and commercial high point for all of its principles. Now, this includes Steve Martin as repressed ad executive Neil Page, John Candy as unintentionally obnoxious shower curtain ring salesman Del Griffith, and John Hughes as the writer and director of a film not starring Molly Ringwald. Now, on its face, there's very little about Planes to distinguish it from other films. I mean, how many 80s movies feature an uptight ad exec going on some kind of transformative journey anyway? And where John Hughes goes, broad humor inevitably follows. But Martin and Candy play off one another brilliantly, and if any movie deserves to have a big, gooey heart beating at its center, shouldn't it be one about the true meaning of Thanksgiving? Starring Steve Martin, John Candy, Lila Robbins, and directed by John Hughes. Critics say thanks to the impeccable chemistry between Steve Martin and John Candy, as well as a deft mix of humor and heart, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a hilarious, heartfelt holiday classic.
You're going the wrong way! What? You're going the wrong way! He says we're going the wrong way!
Oh, he's drunk. How would he know where we're going?
Yeah, how would he know? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Terrific.
Thank you.
What a moron.
You're going in the wrong direction! You're going to kill somebody! You're going the wrong way!
What? Why?
And friends, that about does it for us. Be sure to stay tuned to the Rotten Tomatoes channel for more of the entertainment content that you love and for even more news, scores, and recommendations on the latest TV shows and movies. Head on over to RottenTomatoes.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more Top 10s on the Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.